How much of our food determines the way we think?
Ooh, what do you mean by the way we think?
Like, can food that we eat cause us to have
Thoughts?
thoughts
Yeah.
that are not our own? Thoughts
Oh.
that are directed towards mental health
Mm.
and negative side effects of mental health?
Well, the way you eat can impact your neurons. It can create inflammation. It can slow down the speed of signals between neurons. It can impact your gut, which then in turn impacts a lot of different hormones and molecules in your brain. So yes, absolutely. The studies are fascinating, showing that, if you put two groups of people who have mental health issues on different diets, one of ultra processed foods, for example, lots of carbs, lots of spice, and another group on a whole foods diet without so much sugar, that group on the whole foods diet, their mental health improves. The processed food diet group, the mental health gets worse.
Wow.
So I don't know exactly about specific thoughts, but the chemicals in your brain are 100% impacted by what you're eating. So if you already have a terrain of poor mental health, you're going to be impacted by that stuff for sure. And that was my experience. And I never found a single study on depersonalization in food, but I found loads on anxiety, depression in food. So maybe in the future we'll have a depersonalization one, but I think now it makes so much sense. I'm like, well, of course my food was an important thing to fix in order for my mental health to get better.
When did you start to feel like you were back in your own body and you were seeing yourself, recognizing yourself, accepting of yourself, and loving yourself again?
I think as I was writing the first book, it all kind of came together, because in order to write a book, you have to really process and integrate information. And as I was writing it, and in my first book, the introduction, I wrote my story of the accidents and everything. And that was a very emotional moment. I was like, wow, I'm actually writing this down. I'm processing, I'm, putting it in this chapter and talking about the after. And I'm no longer the girl who broke her back. Because I was defining my life.
That was your identity.
Totally, because I was still broken from it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You hadn't healed emotionally from it.
No.
Wow.
No. And what's wild, is I saw all these physios after my accident and they were like, make sure you can walk and blah, blah, blah. But not a single person addressed the emotional, spiritual, trauma part of things. And I really hope that one day when people have a very intense, for example, spinal operation, that there's somebody who's in charge of saying, hey, your body went through some crazy stuff. Let's help you move some of that stress out. Let's have a little ceremony. Let's shake to move and help your nervous system integrate, let's do some tapping. We need more of that.
Absolutely.
We need so much more of that.
Yeah, I mean, the book, The Body Keeps the Score, continues to just take off because it's about, the traumas that your body has felt. If you just go on like it didn't happen, your body's going to remember and it's going to cause a disconnect.
I mean, you know that too, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you start to process those things emotionally through any type of therapeutic experience, it allows you to integrate lessons, reflection, and kind of speak it aloud.
Yeah.
You writing it down was you acknowledging it, like, this did happen. Let me process and move through this and try to not eliminate it or disassociate, but integrate the lessons.
Yeah.
And it was a part of me, but it doesn't define me. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.